Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Rory Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. We are back at it again with the stealing, or as comic books like to call it, paying tribute, or as I like to call it, drawing a little inspiration from. It's not copying, it's being resourceful. So let's take a look at the top 10 times DC stole from Marvel, and this is part 2. In the number 10 spot, we have Black Lightning and Electro. The first of Marvel's Electro was a Spider-Man villain and member of the Sinister Six, introduced in 1964. Now, in 1977, DC introduced their own electricity drawing and inspiration drawing character, the main difference being that Black Lightning was a hero, not a villain. But a weird coincidence is that even though Electro is depicted as being white in the comics, in the MCU he is portrayed by Jamie Foxx, drawing more parallels between our shocking pair of characters. Coming in at number 9 is Silver Banshee and Banshee. Just looking at the two names screams ripoff. Sorry, that joke was literally screaming my name. Please don't hurt me. To be fair, calling your screeching superhero Banshee is already ripping off Irish folklore, but while Marvel's Banshee came out in 1967 and was a hero, DC's Silver Banshee appeared in 1987 and was a villain, until she became a hero in DC's Superhero Girls, of course. And Banshee started off in a villain team himself, although not of his choosing. At least DC got the gender right. Next at number 8, we got Bronze Tiger and Black Panther. Next thing we know, we'll have Crimson Cheetah and Yellow Bobcat and Pink Panther too. Marvel debuted Black Panther in 1966, DC debuted Bronze Tiger in comics in 1975. Yet again, one is a hero, one is a villain. But for similarities, they are both based abroad, with Panther being an African nation leader and Tiger traveling to the Far East. They are both highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat with super durability, and of course we got the cat suits, although there is no shortage of those in comic books. In the number 7 spot is Multiplex and Multiple Man. Yes, there are multiple characters based on multiplication. Marvel's Multiple Man, that's super fun to say, was introduced in 1975 as a mutant with the ability of self-duplication. Then we have DC's Multiplex of 1978, 3 years later with the very same ability, but lo and behold, a villain instead of a hero. I'm seeing a bit of a pattern. At least they're trying. They also both worked as laboratory assistants, which, by the way, seems like a really bad thing to be in comic books. Coming in at number 6, we have Dr. DIEHARD and Magneto. DC finally kept their parallels villain to villain here. We're all familiar with Marvel's X-Men villain Magneto, who debuted in 1963 and went on to become one of the greatest comic book villains of all time. Now, because they were such die-hard fans of the iconic character, DC created their own version in 1990, Dr. DIEHARD, who is a member of the Extremists, which Magneto undoubtedly is, and also the leader of his own Zen Men, a nod to the X-Men, so he's also got some Professor X in there too. Next up at number 5 is Enchantress and Enchantress. No, we cannot base this off of the same names, but we can base it off basically everything else. DC Enchantress first appeared in 1966, and we know her a lot better than Marvel's, thanks to the movie Suicide Squad, even though Marvel's came first 2 years earlier in 1964. Just the comparison of their costumes is enough to show that obvious inspiration was drawn. Couldn't even change the motif color, but they could change the hair color, and of course both characters share a multitude of powers, from manipulation of energy to healing. Up next at number 4, we got Gorgon and Dr. Octopus. This is another instance where DC owns up to their copying, as members of the Extremists and Champions of Angor were all based on Marvel characters. They may call them pastiche, but some prefer to call it ripping off. Like Marvel's Doc Ock, who made his debut in 1963, Gorgon, who was introduced in 1990, is known for his mechanical tentacles. At least he didn't steal the bowl cut as well. In fact, he didn't steal any cut. In the number 3 spot, we have MOGO and Ego. Maybe you can say that characters with similar powers are just the result of a finite number of abilities out there, but the concept of a living planet is not particularly common, nor is the fact that the names are so similar. Marvel's Ego, who we've become more familiar with in Guardians of the Galaxy that was just out, was introduced in 1966, while DC's MOGO was introduced in 1985. They are both referred to as the living planet, although MOGO is a bit more friendly than Ego and a bit more emotionally stable. Coming in at number 2 is Black Spider and Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man of 1962 was a raging success and one of the most loved superheroes to this day. I can personally attest to that. To celebrate and supposedly parody the popular character, DC came out with Black Spider in 1976. Of course, switching the hero role to villain and pitting him against Batman. Both characters have a run-in with their fatherly figures that teach them about responsibility. Both wear a full face covering costume, but surprisingly, Black Spider is missing out on the spider abilities. He's also missing out on the fame. And finally, in the number 1 spot, we have Red Hood and Winter Soldier. At first glance, these guys don't seem to have a lot in common physically, but this is more of an instance of borrowing storylines than it is of borrowing character traits. Both Marvel's January 2005 Winter Soldier and DC's February 2005 Jason Todd share aspects of growing alongside their respective hero and learning from them, then being presumed dead and left. They then return with a vengeance and have to be reformed back to the good side. The difference here is that Bucky was brainwashed while Jason was fully aware. Nonetheless, these sidekicks share a lot of similarities, with Marvel edging out for publishing them first. So those were the top 10 times DC stole from Marvel Part 2. Let me know in the comment section down below who you think the biggest ripoff is, and be sure to check out our Marvel stealing from DC videos as well. My name is Rory Destroya, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.